What's up, everyone? Let's get right into this video and start it off with a 10-minute drawing challenge. If you watched the last video where I did this 10-minute drawing challenge, the same rules will apply, but instead of using color pencil, I decided to use marker for this piece. This drawing will be in real time. Again, if you guys enjoy this, let me know in the comments. If you don't care to watch this drawn in real time as a 10-minute challenge, feel free to skip this and get to the spray paint portion of it where I'm painting this on a wall. Now, if you're here for the sketch, let's talk about what's going through my head at the moment. You can see I kind of loosely mapped out a round shape, made some center lines. I had a vision in my head of drawing kind of like a snake woman. That was the goal. Kind of just do like the upper half looking somewhat normal and the lower jaw portion turning into a snake head. Now, just like last time, I am not using any reference for this. If you see my hand going off screen, it is to tap my phone because I forgot to set my screen to not turn off. So I just keep tapping it here and there to see what the timer's at. Eventually, yes, I'll put the phone on the screen because I've had people doubt that I'm drawing this without reference. But if you see my drawing, it looks like all my drawings, so I don't really get where you're coming from. This is just how I draw. It is kind of somewhat the Loomis method, but not really. I loosely do my own interpretation of that. I'm not trying to have a face or head that looks realistic. This is super stylized, very characterized. So obviously the eyes are super oversized. They are not proportionate. Everything is just a very loose sketch. I'm trying to just have fun with marker. As far as supplies, I am using the Tombow water-based markers. They are dual tip, but I will only be using the brush tip because this is kind of a speed challenge. For paper, this is 11 by 14, I believe, tone gray paper from Strathmore. And I'm still trying to figure out just what supplies I want to use for these speed challenges. So again, if you're an artist watching this and there's something you use to draw faster, leave that in the comments. I don't really want to use charcoal or pastel, even though I know that I could shade quickly, I could blend it quickly. The problem is it just gets so smudgy for these challenges, and I kind of want something that doesn't smudge. Since doing this piece, I've actually gotten newsprint paper just to kind of have the gray. I don't really like drawing on plain white paper. I like having a little bit of a tone to it. So I did buy some toned newsprint paper, and I bought a giant crayon, or not giant, but it's a crayon that I thought would help me to just kind of, execute the designs the way I want a little faster. And I had fun with it. So I will be making more of these videos. Again, if you like these, please let me know in the comments if you enjoy watching the real-time drawings. So taking a look at where we are in the drawing, we're just over 3 minutes, and I basically have everything roughed out to a point where I'm happy with. I like the foundation that I've created, so I'm going to use the remainder of the time to just kind of try to define things, shade it a little. You could see I'm wasting time looking at markers, trying to figure out what am I going to do next. Had to shake the white marker, the white pen marker, or paint marker, I should say, just to put a little highlights in. Now, obviously, I don't need to go doing all this stuff, but I want to try to get I guess the goal for me is to see how rendered of a finished piece I can get within just a 10-minute time period. If you're wondering, I have not done this often at all. There is only one other video where I have challenged myself to do a 10-minute drawing. This is not something I do, but it is something that I want to start doing. So watching this video back myself, I'm seeing things about my process that I like and things that I do not like that I want to try to correct next time when I do the next drawing challenge. And one of the things I'll point out that you'll see eventually is I think I'm going in with too many tones. So if I just stuck to the two tones that I have at the moment, well, excluding the white highlights, if I just kept these two grays, I think it would be fine. That's actually just a darker tone of gray that I'm using. But later in the sketch, I go in with black. I don't think it needed that much definition. I think it was defined enough as is. But you guys let me know. It's, sometimes I get to a point where I think I overwork things. I think if this was a 5-minute challenge, maybe I'd be happy with this like loose drawing. But I'm going to keep working at it. I definitely think it's important to study habits that you have that you may not know you have, because, you know, as an artist, I know I spend so much time studying other artists' work, trying to break down the just science of what they do and the formula, you know, how do they do this? And then, you know, I try to apply it to my work in my own way. But sometimes I do these habits that I realize I can correct to either save time or just overall be more efficient. And I think that's important to take note of. Now, one thing I wish, obviously, is that I was good enough of an artist or confident enough to just slap down this mid-tone gray and not even have the light gray, or maybe add the light gray later for some shading. But that light gray allows me to loosely map things out, see some options, maybe make some happy mistakes, you know, as we go, and just kind of build upon that and later define the parts that we do like with the darker tone. One thing I definitely enjoy is just the way that brush tip markers glide across this paper. I have never tried marker on the tone gray paper. Typically, I am using color pencil on the tone gray paper, but I really like the flow of the marker on the paper, especially how sharp the line work can be. All right, we're moving on to the 6.5 minute mark, and I am really happy with the drawing at this point. I wish I did not bring the black marker into this. I think I enjoy this like mid-tone so much on the paper, but like I said, just wait and see. You guys let me know what you think. At this point, I'm just trying to define everything, kind of reline my sketchy lines, and just put the definition where I know I need it. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking I really still need to get some shading in this. And here I go, wasting some time just trying to figure out where I still need to line stuff, where I still need to shade. Definitely a lot of wasted time on this one. I should have just used less time, less supplies, or you know what? I should have kept the same time and just done more shading with less supplies. Switching back now to that mid-tone gray. I tried to use the lighter gray to get a little bit of a lighter shade in there, and now I'm just kind of shading whatever I can with the remaining time. I'm getting close to only 2 minutes left. You can see here I am being very, very loose with the shading. I get progressively more and more scribbly as time runs out, because I think in the back of my head I knew that I wanted to go in with the black marker and really reline everything. And if I didn't have that in the back of my head, I think that the shading could have been smoother. But again, this is just supposed to be a fun, quick sketch to see what I can get done on the paper. Here we go, adding the black marker. Watching this back, maybe it's not so bad. I am trying to just kind of be selective as to where I know I want to use a darker definition. So I'm trying to just focus on only the pupil, the side of the head. I knew I wanted to break off that shading that I had done in her hair. So I do think it was important there. But like lining the upper lip like this, I don't, you know, whatever. I guess it doesn't look as bad as in my head I thought it did. You know, watching these things back, I never know exactly how I'm going to feel about it later. It's easy to do a drawing and feel a certain way as soon as it's done, but then maybe the next day you look at it and it's either better than you thought, or sometimes it's not as good as you thought it was. So I guess I have mixed opinions on this one. Seeing the black that I'm adding here, though, I think I do like the definition. Maybe I wouldn't have lined all the hair that I'm doing right now, but definitely some of those lines, like on the side of the face, around the eyes, I think it just needed it in those select areas. It's obviously hard when you're under pressure and you have a timer, but that is the whole purpose of this challenge. And speaking of, we are down to the last 10 seconds. And of course, I just want to make sure I give this thing a quick signature. And from there, it is time to photograph this and take this sketch with me to the woods and paint it on a wall. I sped this up just a little bit because you guys literally just watched me draw this for 10 minutes. As you can see, I am just looking at my phone and drawing right on the wall exactly what I see. I did not use a doodle grid or anything for this particular piece. If you guys want to see how I utilize the doodle grid, there's plenty of other videos that I can show you how to use it. But for this, I am just freehanding this, and I am joined by my buddy Queso, who is off screen right now, but he will be painting around the corner on the rest of the wall. I apologize for not getting a better camera angle on this particular piece. That is something that I meant to do, and I know I'm blocking most of it. But in the future, I am probably going to try to go back to my chest camera for some of the parts that I'm mapping out. It's just a lot to handle and think about and do while I'm at the spot. It's enough to change the batteries in one camera, never mind worrying about two camera angles when I'm down here painting. But again, it's something that I want to be more conscious of for you guys, that you see a better view. In this spot, it's kind of a hike and I have to make do with what I have. So you may have seen me put the log down to get a little higher on the wall. And because it's cold, the paint's not drying as well. So I'm able to wipe away any little mistake I make with my hand. I'm trying to map this piece out in a very similar way that I mapped it out on paper. There's not much of a difference once you're used to using spray paint, obviously, but there's really not much of a difference between sketching on a wall and sketching on paper. I'm just utilizing the space that I have here, and I'm getting rid of any error that I make and just fine tuning it, because I always like to say, if you're not happy with your foundation, you're probably not going to be happy with the final product or final outcome. And if you got fresh bucket paint and a roller, you might as well use it like a giant eraser. I know it may seem like I'm erasing the same lines over and over and just redrawing them, but there's something about certain curves that I just want to look right. I just want to make sure that I'm happy with the outcome, because, you know, as I just said, if I'm not happy with my foundation, I'm not going to like it in the long run once it's done. So this happens sometimes, and it's nice to take the time on the foundation to just really perfect it. Halfway through this piece, I don't want to find out that there's something that I should have shifted earlier or drawn a certain way and I didn't, and then I have to fix it. It's much easier to just make sure that everything is in place where you want it from the beginning, and then you can just color it in and bring it to life much faster. And now that I've spent so much time just recorrecting little things and adding shading that didn't need to be added, let's finally color this thing in. Hair to me is something that is always kind of tedious. I don't mind it, but it is, you know, I can't wait to get to like the face features and all the fun stuff. So I like to map in the hair first and just get that tedious portion out of the way. At this point, I'm ready to get started on the face, so I am basing in a mid-tone of green. And as always, I like to just fill in a large section and then build up my contrast using highlights and shadows. I had mentioned earlier that this spot is a little bit of a hike to get to. We're not exactly supposed to be there either, so I try to pack as light as possible, meaning that I don't have the craziest color selection for this area, but I did what I could with what I had. At this point, I felt like I was cruising along and I was having a blast, and so glad that my friend Queso was able to join me so we could catch up for the day. But I was far from done with this piece. There's lots more to add. I knew I still had quite a bit of negative space on this wall to fill up, so I thought I'd put a little LM shout out in the bottom right, and then I signed off on the left side of the wall. In my last video, I showed viewers how I enjoy mapping out my smaller font letters with a stencil cap, but then filling them with a level 1 cap to save some paint. I always enjoy trying to make my work look as clean as possible, kind of like a sticker. So what I did to make it look like a sticker in this piece was I put a shadow on the right side of everything using gray. Now I wish I brought dark blue, but I didn't have it. So I used gray and then went around everything with white. And I think now is about a good time to thank all of my paid Patreon members. You guys absolutely rock. Thank you so much for all of the support. And if anyone watching wants to support as well, I will leave a link in the description of this video. Another way to help support is to head on over to my website, kbuart.com. And right now until Christmas, I've got a huge sale going on. I've also made new hoodies just in time for cold weather. There's new shirts as well. Speaking of shirts and hoodies, I have some old ones on here that are 75% off. That's like less than $10 a shirt. And if you want to own some of my artwork, there's 25% off prints and 25% off original artwork as well. I've been adding quite a bit of new artwork to the site, so be sure to check it out for yourself because there's way more than what's being shown here. Take advantage of the sale while it lasts. Maybe buy yourself something or someone you care about before it's over. Now let's get back to painting. I really enjoy the look of the white around everything. I felt like it helped the character and all the font pop off the wall. But then there was a little trouble with the halo. I was going to leave it with just the yellow and not have it outlined because halos are nice and bright, but I felt like it had to be lined to have the white around it. And this became very tricky because I couldn't reach it. This halo was a little wonky. Also, this was just for fun, so I wasn't going to sweat it too much. Sometimes it just is what it is, and you got to let it go. Now, had this been for a customer, you bet I would have fixed this up. But it wasn't that bad, was it? Anyways, just a couple more highlights in the eyes, and we are all done with this thing. And I'm also going to show you some of the other cool projects that we have done down here at this location. So without further ado, check it out.